Hey everyone, Dr. Frunky here with a great new knife comparison video for you. What you see in front of you are two knives that are very different, but in a lot of ways very similar. And what they have in common, I think, is an important thing that we need to understand if we're talking about the evolution of the modern folding knife. So what you see are two knives with what's called an integral handle. What you'll notice from this perspective, where I've set them up like this, is that they are milled from a single piece of metal. Both of these knives have handles that are generated from a single piece of titanium. There are no body screws holding these knives together, and it represents an evolution of the folding knife. Both of the people who designed these knives are very influential in this sort of trend that are coming up, and I wanted to discuss these two knives in particular because I think that they represent a wonderful, wonderful thing and something that I hope continues in the folding knife market. So if you're familiar with my channel, I'm sure that you'll recognize right away the Rassenti Nirvana. Peter Rassenti is a Canadian knife maker who hand makes all of his knives. He's a one-man shop, and I would be remiss to have a discussion about integral handled knives without talking about his fine work. This is my own custom knife from him. It is a hand-contoured, handmade knife, and it costs quite a bit of money. His work is difficult to come by sometimes. He's got an active Instagram where he posts pictures and sales of his knives. And he does take some orders, but I understand it takes a long time to get them. I was very fortunate to get this one sort of quickly because he had it readily available when I asked for one. But it is an absolute stunning piece of work, a masterpiece of knife making, and it's probably the knife where if you asked me if I could only keep one, it would probably be this one. The knife next to it here is the Riot knives The Future. This knife is a mid-tech, so this is not a full custom knife. However, this knife is designed in collaboration with French knife maker Tashi Bharucha. So Tashi Bharucha is well known in the knife community for his integral handled knives. He makes some amazing knives called the Unicorn, as well as a few others that really I'm not that familiar with because I honestly don't have enough money to buy them. I love looking at the pictures. I follow him on Instagram, and I love seeing that other people are picking up his work, but his knives are even harder to come by than the Rassentis, and they're just spectacular. He'll do a full Damascus integral, and right now he's got a full handmade carbon fiber integral slip joint. No, not a slip joint, friction folder coming out. It's called the Logan. It looks like Wolverine's claws. It is the sexiest damn thing I think I've ever seen. Now, I am very lucky to have this knife in my possession right now, thanks to Adam Purvis. He goes by A Purvis Blades on Instagram. He is a full-time firefighter, part-time knife maker, and always a knife enthusiast. He posts a lot of great pictures of a lot of the knives that he has. He also lent me a We Knives 703. I'll bring that out a little bit later for another video, but this knife is truly spectacular. This is Riot Knives' first attempt at a full titanium integral handled knife. If you're a part of the knife community, most assuredly you have seen or heard about this knife at some point. They made a lot of fuss about this knife, and I want to say that they executed it beautifully. This is not going to be a full review of these knives, but rather just a comparison. I think that a more accurate comparison might be a comparison between the Riot and the Spyderco Nirvana, the sort of mid-tech version of this custom knife. Unfortunately, I don't have a Spyderco in my possession anymore. I used to have that knife. I had it reground. It was very popularly received with that regrind. I hope that I've gotten Razor Edge Knife Works over there, Josh over there, a whole lot of business with that video. But this is what I have in my possession. So let's go ahead and talk about these two knives and why I like the integral handle so much. Maybe some of the pros and even some of the cons of that type of design. So the integral handle is one piece of titanium, and usually that's what it is. That's all I've really seen. I think that Liosteel has some full aluminum integral handled knives, in their SR series. Those are phenomenal knives, but those have some drawbacks. That's why I didn't buy them. Go check out Nick Shabazz's videos about them. They're on Teflon washers. They're impossible to disassemble. But what makes these knives so nice is, number one, to me, their simplicity. Having only one piece in the handle makes this knife very maintainable. Now, admittedly, I haven't taken this knife apart because it's so damn smooth already. I haven't quite gotten there. Now, believe me, I use this knife. I used it today. I carried it today. It doesn't show a lot of wear on it because I'm relatively gentle on them, but it's got a little bit of some marks from where I was using it. It is a fantastic knife, but knowing that it's so simple without all these pieces to put together, it makes it nice. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out my Spyderco, my Para 3 right here, just to show you in comparison all the different pieces that it takes to put a two-piece knife handle together like this. It takes the pivot screw. This has a stop pin. A lot of knives will have the stop pin kind of in there in a different way. That one's press fit. You know, there's a lot of standoffs. The standoffs require screws. And so there are a lot of moving parts there. It also means that there's going to be a little bit of play when you're assembling the knife. When you disassemble it and put it back together, it may not come together perfectly. It might require some fiddle factor. It also means that there are a lot more pieces to keep track of, and there are a lot more parts of the knife that can fail. You could strip out a screw really easily and render your knife completely worthless at that point because you can't put it back together. But the integral handle offers a very, very elegant solution to that, where there's only one piece, there's only one set of screws, and that's in the handle or in the pivot, and so it makes it really, really simple. Now, making this integral handle is expensive and not easy to do. Mr. Rassenti is able to do it by hand, but to do it on a machine takes a lot of expertise and a lot of time and extra manufacturing, so it doesn't come cheap. The Spyderco Nirvana is the most expensive Spyderco that they have ever made. It came in around $430, which is absurd for a Spyderco, where most of them cost between about $40 and $140. To come in with a $400 price point is crazy. This one came in at almost 3 times that much money, to be perfectly honest. But this is a full handmade knife, and it's totally worth every penny. When I got this in hand, that Spyderco seemed pretty obsolete, but it was. This is a fantastic, fantastic knife. Now, a drawback to that simplistic design is that you don't really get the ability to clean these handles out quite in the same way. With a sort of pillar construction, you can stick one of your claws sort of between the frames there and clean it out. So I'll show you on my Curtis here with a 2-piece frame. You can clean the knife out inside, keep it nice and maintained, and that does provide some benefits. So the integral handle does lose out there. The integral handle also adds a little bit of weight because they, in this design philosophy, they carry the frame all the way up to the edge of the blade. You have to add a little bit of weight given this titanium pieces here, but it makes it very, very rigid. If you feel either of these knives, you know that they're super, super rigid. With regards to the sizes of these knives, they're remarkably similar. Both of these blades are about 3.75 inches. The handles are about 5 inches in length, and they both come in around 5 ounces. This one is a bit heavier, more like 5.5 ounces. This one is more like 4.5 ounces and is considerably thinner, but they come in with a very similar overall size profile. Let's not stab my hand. They're almost identical in size. I really, really, really like these knives. They're just fantastic. I enjoy the integral handle. I like the strength, I like the simplicity, and I love the design. The drawbacks being the difficulty in cleaning, the expense, and then the added weight. But if you have an opportunity to check out any of these knives, I recommend that you do so. I would love to see more manufacturers put this design into their regular production models. I love that Spyderco did it. I love that Riot does it. Rike Knife has one. Liosteel has some. I really want to see this become more mainstream. I feel like it's a fantastic design. I think that a lot of people will benefit from it and would love to go and buy it as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing these two knives side by side in my little discussion about integral handles. Go follow me on Instagram at Dr. Frunky. As always, guys, this is Dr. Frunky saying, take care.